brought to you by IOCO, Africa's leading integrated technology services company.
Time for Tech Talk now. Cell C aims to regain 20 million customers. The group is banking on its mobile virtual network operator business to help achieve this target. This segment of the market, however, has become more crowded over a requirement which was put in place for mobile network operators to host at least 3 MVNOs as part of their spectrum license conditions. Business Day's Mudiwa Gavaza joins us with his reading of the company's prospects. Mudiwa, good to chat to you once again on Tech Talk. Now, its strategy, and like I read in the intro now as well, mobile virtual network operator. How does that work? Because they've been targeting banks, they've been targeting Pick and Pay, and they're looking at expanding this.
So in South Africa, you can think about a number of different operators that have popped up over the years. I think currently some of the big names that people will know is Capitec Connect, FNB Connect, and the likes of Standard Bank Connect, as well as Mr. Price. They also have a platform, so you have these non-telecoms companies that are able to offer mobile services, and the way they do that is they get into a agreement with a mobile operator. In the case of Capitec, which is the largest MVNO in South Africa, they have an agreement with Cell C, and then they are using Cell C's network to power the offering that they give to their customers.
This is quite interesting. If you have a look at what's happened with Cell C, managing to get in there, how do they compare to the likes of Vodacom and the others? Because I know there is a regulation that I think you have to have 3 of these MVNOs. So, I mean, how do they compare? They seem to be quite sharp about it.
So at the moment, out of the big 4 operators, Vodacom, MTN, Telkom, and Cell C is the biggest player in this particular market. They've been at this for at least a decade. I think some of the earliest examples that people will remember is the likes of Virgin Mobile when it first came into South Africa. Trace TV also had a service, as well as Red Bull. But when we look at the competition, because of the regulation that you've highlighted off of the recent spectrum auction, we've seen MTN, coming in and taking up, certain pieces of business when it comes to MVNO, albeit at a much smaller scale. Vodacom also has 1 or 2, customers that are using its service. And then at the moment, Telkom has said that they're open to having people coming in and using their network, but so far they haven't been able to sign anyone as yet. So at the moment, you have Cell C probably being the biggest player in this particular market, and it actually accounts for roughly 37% of their customer base right now is these non-telecoms, clients that are helping to push up its customer base right now.
Yeah. But Mudiwa, why did Virgin fail? I mean, Virgin Mobile, for all those years, they were doing so well. They were trying so hard. Why did they fail? Because Cell C is going down, not the same lines, but they're using the same kind of strategy in a way.
So one of the things that Cell C CEO George Mendes explains is that when you look at the banks, the likes of Capitec, FNB, and others, they do well because they already have I'm going to use it, a captured user base, right? Okay. You're a customer of the bank. If you are talking Capitec, they're the biggest retail bank. You're looking at roughly 25 million customers. And you're looking at, okay, those 25 million customers already have a deposit product. Maybe they have that normal banking relationship. And then, like anything else in banking, you start working on adding products on top of that. Loans, vehicle financing, maybe some insurance, the ability to buy electricity. Now you then add a SIM card to that. So you have an existing customer base and you're basically adding different products. So it becomes easier for one of these businesses to scale, which is why the likes of Standard Bank, FNB, Mr. Price, as well as Capitec have been able to grow so quickly in terms of their mobile offerings. Whereas back in the day, the likes of a Trace TV, as much as people are watching something on TV, it's not necessarily a customer base that you're holding onto. There isn't necessarily a product that's holding people there in terms of captured. So they basically were starting from scratch. The likes of Trace, the likes of Virgin Mobile, starting from scratch in a place like South Africa and having to build themselves one customer at a time. Whereas in the case that I've just explained, you have existing customers, they're set, they're going to be there for a while, and you're just saying, hey, we can offer you specialized data and voice bundles.
Yeah. All right, so they're locked in there, but they've also got prepaid, they've got postpaid as well. Are you finding, are they finding that people are moving away from having contracts? They want to have prepaid because they know where they are.
So when it comes to Cell C's prepaid and postpaid base, it's very interesting because up until recently, some of that was being managed out of Blue Label Telecoms, which is now Blue Label Unlimited. They sold that business called the Com Equipment Company, CEC. It's now under Cell C. So Cell C is now running their postpaid basis or their contract customers in-house. But the prepaid is something that they've been running with for some time. You've got roughly just over 8 million customers in terms of the normal contract and prepaid customers. And then if you add the MVNO customers, that's another 5 or so million on top. And you're sitting at just around 13 and a half or so million customers in total, with a goal to say at its peak, Cell C had over 20 million customers. And so that's, the goal that they're trying to reach, get back to that 20 million number. But when it comes to, the contract customers, a big thing right now is devices. And that's one of the big things that Cell C is focusing on, to say, okay, how do we get good devices into people's hands, affordable prices, good deals, so that we can keep them in. And that deal around CEC is helping them to make all of that happen.
It's so interesting because they've each got their different strategies. Now, MTN, they've got a whole other bag of tricks. And lately also buying up those towers as well. It just shows that they're also different, aren't they, in what they are doing? They all have these original ideas, but Cell C certainly seems to be there, but then so does MTN.
Yeah, most certainly. On the point of infrastructure, Cell C considers their model to be capital light. That's what they've called it for a number of years now. They chose to give up their capability on cell phone towers as well as infrastructure. So instead of going out and building their own towers, they've decided that let's rather buy capacity on the mobile operators that are bigger than them. MTN and Vodacom both spending 10 billion rand plus every single year on network capacity, network expansion. So Cell C coming in, they piggyback. And one of the ways that's been able to help them is that back in the day, Cell C was known for not having the best network when it comes to network quality. But because they're now basically having a hybrid of Vodacom and MTN, it means that they can have comparable network quality to the big operators, and also gaps between the two. So you end up with them sitting at number 2 now when it comes to network quality. So very interesting strategies when it comes to this infrastructure discussion. All of us I wasn't expecting, this IHS deal that MTN has just come in, because famously MTN sold its towers across various operations to IHS, and then chose to do a lease back. So now they've decided, no, we want to actually own this. So very interesting to see the different strategies when it comes to that. The last one I'll just mention, we saw last year Telkom selling off its towers business called SwiftNet, but they are still building certain towers in certain areas. Vodacom has created a separate tower company of its own that has over 14,000 towers. So this tower discussion is something that we're likely going to be seeing developing over time.
Yep, you're quite right, Mudiwa. Thank you so much. Good to chat to you on a Friday. Thank you so much. That was Business Day's Mudiwa Gavaza.
Brought to you by IOCO, Africa's leading integrated technology services company.